this video? Well, it's only because Buffy the Vampire Slayer is like the greatest show of all time. Today I review Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Probably the greatest show of all time. Where do I start? Well, Buffy the Vampire Slayer was originally a film written by Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon, I don't think, was all that fond of the film, but I guess he eventually pitched the concept as a TV show to Fox, and they produced this television series. Apparently the pilot was crap, but they produced the show anyway. It was greenlit. And the first season was 12 episodes. A lot of people aren't that fond of the first season. I personally thought it was amazing. Okay? One of the best first seasons I've seen. And it only gets better from there. Sort of. But we'll get to that. But, yeah, let's go. So, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a show about a teenage girl, or it starts off with her as a sophomore in high school, and she comes to Sunnydale, which is a city in California, north of LA, I think, and it turns out that she's actually the Slayer, the hero, the messianic fighter of vampires, demons, weird fish people in season 3. But yeah, she fights all kinds of crazy stuff. Basically, Joss Whedon created both the movie and the show as a way to subvert classic horror movie tropes. The girl tends to be a weak or not very strong character, but in the case of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, she's the strongest there is. She's the Slayer, so pretty cool, Joss. Although as the show goes on, one of the heroes surpasses her in power. So, as the show goes on, Buffy makes a lot of friends and enemies, of course. Right? She's the Slayer. So, we get Willow and Xander and Giles, Angel, Cordelia. The list goes on. Lots of allies. And then villains, enemies, like the Master, Drusilla, Darla, Spike, Glory, the First, a lot of villains. And yeah, I think I'll just talk about some of my favorite seasons, episodes, least favorites, that kind of stuff. So my favorite season is season 7, which is the final season, and it's freaking good. Every single episode has purpose, character development out the butt. A classic season. Seriously, Buffy season 7 is really good. Not only do they bring back what appeared to be a filler episode villain, the First, they made the First into the scariest and most powerful villain in the whole series. They really build up the First. So season 7 had to be my favorite. And I just love the development of characters like Spike and Willow and Xander and Buffy, of course, and yeah, lots of cool stuff. My favorite episode is Chosen, which, what do you know? The final episode of the whole series! I've got to say, this is probably the best series finale I've ever seen. It's even better than that episode of Justice League Unlimited where Superman punches Darkseid really hard. And that was a pretty good one. But, yeah, it's pretty badass. So, closely following my favorite season, though, 2 and 6. Those seasons are really good. Season 2, because a certain character turns evil, certain good guy, and season 6 because, well, a certain good guy turns evil. Also Spike. Spike is a big part of why I like season 6. And after that, my favorite episodes after Chosen would be Once More with Feeling, the musical episode. Holy crap, did Joss Whedon do a good job? Okay, with this freaking show, he apparently loves musicals, so he's like, let's just do a musical episode. And I'm like, what the hell? And it worked. Brilliant. I'm not even a big fan of musicals. Holy crap, was it good, though. All the songs are good. all important. And it ends with one of the most important kisses in the whole show. Buffy and a certain vampire, Spike! Okay, so then we get Amends is my third favorite episode. And that one makes me cry. That one's in there because that one makes me cry the most. Okay? That's the one where Angel, let's just say he contemplates suicide. Um, Favorite character of the whole series? Xander Harris. Of course. He's a geek, like me. He went to high school, like me. Um, Hopefully I don't end up like him in some of the later seasons where he's just living with his parents. That'd be sad. But anyway, Xander's just so much fun. I feel like in season 3 and 4 a little, they were kind of underusing him because he was just so funny. Just like the funniest character, and like he's geeky, you know, he's making all these references that are funny, and I don't know, it's just I feel like I really identify with him. And he also has that dorky quality to him too. And after Xander, of course my favorite character's gotta be Buffy. She's the main gosh dang character. Okay? Buffy is a great protagonist. Strong, but also human. She's very powerful, but she also has doubt at times, and that's a very human thing to have. You know, she's always questioning whether what she's doing is right or wrong, and I really appreciate that in her character. Now, there's some of the seasons where they do maybe go a little far with her depression. Maybe they didn't need to go as far. It makes a lot of sense in season 6, but some of the earlier seasons, I'm not sure it was handled that well. But other than that, Buffy, I mean, it's her show. Of course she's great. After that, Willow. Willow ends up becoming really powerful. More powerful than anybody imagined. Kind of ironic, because at the beginning of the show, she seems kind of like, well, Buffy's really strong, but Willow's kind of like the weak girl. No. And then it all builds up to season 6, guys. Angel. Angel's badass. Okay? Vampire with a soul. We learn a lot about Angel in the first 2 seasons, about his backstory. Why he is the way he is. Why he has a freaking soul. Okay? He was cursed by gypsies. Okay? And, Angel's just freaking awesome. He's badass. And he has a relationship with Buffy for the first 3 seasons. So, that's pretty cool. Buffy's dating a vampire, right? Season 1 through 3. That's pretty cool. But it wasn't meant to last. Giles! Rupert Giles, that is. Buffy's watcher. But then he gets, like, fired. That's a spoiler. Giles was really funny. I liked his dry wit. And I also liked how he was like a father to Buffy, because Buffy's actual father in the show, well, let's just say he's not exactly there. I mean, he shows up in a few episodes, but he's kind of an asshole. He kind of abandoned his daughter and daughters, sort of, later. You have to watch to find out what I'm talking about. And yeah, Giles is great. He's a great mentor, great father figure. He's like the gosh dang Obi-Wan Kenobi of the show. Awesome. Spike. Now, Spike first appears in season 2, and he's a pretty decent villain when he shows up. But I'm more of a fan of season 5 through 7 Spike. The Spike that has the hots for Buffy. That's the Spike I like, because he's gosh dang insane. He's like, I might not have a soul, but I still have a crush on Buffy. He does crazy stuff for her. He basically fights back his animalistic instincts just to be with her. But then some crazy stuff happens in season 6, and it makes me mad at him. And then something happens at the end of season 6. Oh my gosh! What? Sorry. This show's really exciting. And then, my last favorite character, somebody that some people might not expect. Andrew! Okay? Mostly, he's introduced in Season 6, but I mostly like the Season 7 Andrew the best. Because, like Xander, he makes lots of pop culture references, but he's arguably even geekier than Xander. Now, Andrew is a very tormented figure because he makes a huge mistake with his life, okay? A very poor life decision. Influenced by the first in Season 7. But even in Season 6, he was just doing things that he really shouldn't have been doing. He was kind of a villain, okay? He's kind of a bad guy. But as the show goes on, Andrew becomes one of the most endearing characters in the whole show. You really understand him and feel like the pain he feels for what he does in Season 7. And Andrew's just freaking hilarious. Him and his Dungeons and Dragons and Star Wars references every other episode. He even referenced Dragon Ball Z in one episode. That was pretty cool. My least favorite season is Season 4. Okay, guys. Season 4. You know, with Adam. Ugh. Season 4, I just thought was kind of lame. Maybe it was because they were doing their little, I don't know, top secret government organization hiding monster thing. But, like, really? Like, so you're doing, like, a S.H.I.E.L.D. Men in Black, Cabin in the Woods. Actually, the movie Cabin in the Woods kind of reminds me of Season 4. It came out after, but Season 4, I'm just not a big fan of the main story arc. I felt like the first half of it was actually pretty bad. Okay, I can't say that about any other season. So, yeah. And Season 4 also had my least favorite episode of the entire series, Beer Bad. And from what I understand, Beer Bad is generally considered one of the worst episodes of the whole series. You know, the one where Buffy and a few guys drink beer and they turn into cavemen? What the hell were you thinking, writers? Apparently Beer Bad was aired on my birthday, too, which is really weird because I hate that episode. I don't get it. My favorite villains are Angelus and the First. Okay. Characters that I didn't like until they eventually won me over. Faith. Faith is probably the biggest one on this list because I just couldn't stand her. Okay, when they first introduced her, and then, you know, in Season 3, she's kind of obnoxious. Then there's like a turning point where she kind of makes some poor life decisions. And then she shows up for a while an Angel and sort of does some things that are very spoilerific. But helps Angel and then comes back into Buffy's final season and becomes an important character in the last 5 episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Riley. Riley's biggest problem was that he wasn't Angel. And it's sad because the only reason I didn't like him as first was, well, there was actually 2 reasons. One, I didn't think he was the strongest actor. Mark Blucas, sorry. You're an alright actor, but earlier in Season 4, I just didn't like him. I just thought he was really bland, just not the greatest actor, and he just was supposed to fill the shoes of Angel. And I'll get to why pretty soon, but he was supposed to be a replacement for Angel, and it didn't work in my opinion. And it was probably for the best that halfway through Season 5 he left. Anyway, the last character on my list, Dawn. Didn't really like her in the first few episodes where she appeared. They kind of hinted at her in Season 4 that she was gonna happen. I don't really know how else to say this. But basically Dawn is Buffy's sister, only she isn't. Everybody thinks she is in Season 5, but we see in the first 4 seasons Buffy was an only child. How did this happen? Well, it's a retcon. You'll have to watch to find out how it all works. But basically, after the first few episodes with Dawn, it basically wins me over because it shows how good a sister Buffy is, and I really like that about the relationship between Buffy and Dawn. So yeah, Angel got his own show. Angel, also a freaking great show. Started in 1999. started airing at the same time Buffy was in its 4th season. So the 3rd season of Buffy is the last time Angel was a regular character on the show, although he does have a few cameos and guest appearances in later seasons of Buffy. Season 4, Season 5, and Season 7. So, yeah, there's that. And Buffy shows up on Angel too, but I think I'm going to hold off on talking about Angel for when I do my review of the show Angel, because I'm going to do one, okay? Not only did Angel get his own spin-off, but there was almost a whole crap ton of Buffy spin-offs. A Faith spin-off series, a spin-off about Rupert Giles, what the hell? And even an animated series for kids, what? Also something that's kind of interesting is that there's lots of references to the Avengers. I think we all know Joss Whedon ended up writing and directing the Avengers movie. And one more interesting piece of trivia that I'd like to point out. The final episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, my favorite episode, Chosen, features all 4 of the lead actors in Joss Whedon's first 4 television series. Okay? Sarah Michelle Gellar, well, she plays Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Makes sense that she'd be in her own show, in her own last episode. David Boreanaz, the guy that played Angel, kind of makes sense that he'd have a guest appearance because, well, he was in the first episode of Buffy, and even though he had his own show, he's freaking Angel. You gotta bring him back for the last episode. He's so badass. The vampire with a soul. The champion. Eliza Dushku, she becomes, obviously she first appears in Season 3, but she's sort of a part of the greater arc of Season 7, and as well as one of the arcs in Angel Season 4. But I'll talk about that later. And basically those 2 seasons link up of those 2 different shows. And Faith is really important in the last 5 episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And Eliza Dushku was the star of Dollhouse. And last but not least, certainly not least, Nathan Fillion, star of Firefly, a great show that only had 1 season, sadly. He also appears in the last 5 episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer as a very important character named Caleb. And Caleb is a freaking creepy villain. So, I think this is the end, beautiful friends. This is the end. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Greatest show I've ever seen in my entire life. So I have to give it a rating. But I can't give it a normal rating. Okay? I'm gonna give it Cookie Me 10 out of Cookie Me 10. Only fans of the show that watched the last episode will get that reference. The end.